to Jake Jackets. Gear up to fire the cannon and hit the ice with your host, Jay Ashdown and Jake Gehringer.
It's been a bit since we took a little break.
I like your shirt.
Thank you. There's a big reason why I'm wearing this shirt tonight or this morning. But we've actually got a lot to get to today.
Yeah, if we do.
It's been a little bit just because like somebody was on a date.
Or a group of them, I would suppose.
Whew. But I think we have a little bit of an obligation to start with.
Sure.
With our usual beginning segment, Kepi Keepers by DraftKings Sportsbook. Thank you, fellas at DraftKings. And we're talking hoops for this one.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm
awesome.
not... Yeah, it's funny, though, because, like, I've never been the biggest basketball guy.
I'm telling you, now's the time to get into it.
But, I mean, you can all get into it. I can get into it. We could try, all with DraftKings Sportsbook. New customers bet $5 and win $200 in free bets instantly. Plus, for a limited time, all new and existing customers get a no-sweat same-game parlay every day. Go to the draft. All you got to do is go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app today, opt in, place your same-game parlay on any NBA game, and if it doesn't hit, you get a free bet right back. So, I mean, like, what's on the schedule today? Tonight, because this is getting released tonight.
So tonight, they've got the skills competition for the NBA.
Oh, the All-Star break, right.
So, I mean, tomorrow is actually a great day for betting for the NBA because last year, my brother-in-law Phil got into gambling on the All-Star game.
Oh, you can gamble on their All-Star game?
Yeah, he did. I want to say like the over on points for like the game, and then over for points on a couple different players, and it hit. So he won like $70, and he's been like in it ever since.
That's interesting. Because I've never seen obviously for the whole sports betting thing is like new to me. Like I've known it's existed, but it's like I've never obviously been able to do it until now. So it's just like I never knew you could bet on All-Star game stuff.
You can bet on All-Star game stuff. I'd say the one that's most popular is the NBA. The NBA is the most because I think the NBA
because it's fun. It's like it's actual fun, and they have marketing talent. Like
nobody obviously NFL is king, but nobody markets their stars better than the NBA.
Yeah, and we can get into some hockey stars later, but I mean, so yeah, same game parlays with the All-Star game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey.
You can bet on East or West to win. You can bet on over on points. You can bet on player scoring points. We've seen some incredible performances from players in All-Star games. Steph Curry usually goes off in All-Star games because he can shoot the ball from literally anywhere.
Unfortunately, he's hurt right now, though, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I think he's injured, and I mean, who knows? LeBron's most likely there.
Bet on Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell.
Returning.
Yep.
He's returning to Utah because that's where the All-Star game is this year. He got a good reception in Utah when the Cavs played the Jazz earlier this year. So who knows? Maybe coming back to Utah, he puts on a show for his old fans, and maybe that's something you could bet on.
And you can get a big payout with the parlay with that. Download the app now. Sign up with code THPN. New customers can bet $5 on the NBA and get $200 in free bets instantly. Only at the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, with code THPN. Minimum age, eligibility, restrictions, all of that. Ooh, I'm just seeing that now. Unfortunately, that's void here in Ohio. Oh, well. This particular bet.
Oh,
that's a shame. Oh well, all of our disclaimer stuff as usual is down there. I can't remember who let off first. because
Doesn't
it's
really
been
matter.
it doesn't really matter. Mine's going to KJ. Dude's gone off over the last few games.
He's just so noticeable. I've
He's
loved what I've
had
seen from him.
he's had at least 4 points in the last few games, right? Because he had a multi-point game in Toronto.
Mm-hmm. They obviously got shut out, but he had the goal against Winnipeg. Did he have a point against the Devils?
He
I don't
might
think he
have.
did. I'll be honest with you. He was
Well, you can
fantastic
actually
against the Leafs.
yeah.
He was fantastic against the Jets. I didn't really notice him a ton in the game against the Devils.
Let me see. Johnny, no, he did not.
I'm gonna give it 3 points in his last 2 games to Adam Boqvist.
Bokey, hell yeah, bestie.
I gotta say, like, the goal he scored against the Devils was like really, really impressive. Because
Against his brother.
Yeah, he's entering the zone. He's got a guy streaking to his right. I can't remember who it was. I think it may have been either Johnny or Patrick, but he's got someone like kind of leering to his right, trying to get open, and like he just head fakes over and he just whips the puck at the net. Like, I did not expect him to shoot. Nobody expected him to shoot it from a fair distance, and he beats a really good goalie in Vitek Vanacek to do it. He had a couple assists on top of that. He had an assist on the Gaudreau goal. He had an assist in the game against the Jets. But he's been a noticeable presence in these games too. Obviously he's very important carrying the puck through, just about every single zone on the ice.
Well, so like now we know that it's KJ and it's Bokey. KJ in particular, on that side, he's just doing what he does.
He's super talented.
He's just that talented. It's like there's not much to say about Kent Johnson because we know that this is who he is.
Similar to the Boqvist goal, different angle, different area, but love Kent Johnson kind of noticing that David Riddick's cheating a little bit, and just firing the puck low at the net, and just seeing what happens, and it gives the Jackets the lead. Because he's not expecting it, and sometimes it's a big element of scoring goals is making sure that you're putting yourself in positions where the goalie's not prepared for it.
Well, that's the thing too that I want to get to on Bokey. He was a big acquisition in this Seth Jones trade. He was the big acquisition in that trade.
He's the headliner because obviously we didn't know who we were going to get with the first round picks. You know what I mean? So obviously he was the headliner, being a former top 10 pick, being a right hand shot defenseman, being offensively gifted,
very talented young guy.
Also just being like, as far as locally is concerned, being a relatively marketable guy. It's hard not to be marketable for team like Columbus when you're Swedish and you have that beautiful hair.
Well, it's funny because we've talked on this show extensively how much we just enjoy how gorgeous Swedish people are.
Yes.
Like that's the funny thing.
Ridiculous.
They're all supermodels. It's wild. But the thing about Boqvist is like, we get him, and I enjoyed him in Chicago.
I did too. I liked his game in Chicago.
I loved his game in Chicago. And then he comes over here, and it's like he is going to be, hopefully, a big part of that defensive core in the near future when this team is ready to go on a run.
There's been questions about whether or not he will be. I just don't see what you gain from not having him be a part of it. You've got him locked up for 2 years beyond this one at $2.6 million, which I think is pretty good for him. You've got, I don't know what his value is in a trade unless you're getting a haul for him. I want him to be a part of this future.
Yeah, and so do I. And it's good because like he's had so many injuries over the last little bit.
Yeah.
Like that's a big concern with Boqvist is being turning injury prone. And it's good that since he's been healthy, he's been able to put up his points.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that. I love the Boquist pick because just like he deserves it. And
The power play just looks better when he's out there too.
Oh yeah.
So, and his assist against the Jets came on the power play. His assist against the Devils came on the power play. And his goal against the Devils kind of came how a lot of his goals in his career have come. Being able to score off the rush as a defenseman's a pretty nice ability to have.
It's always fun to watch D-man jump up like that too, because like normally you see a lot of your defensemen like just stay right there by the blue line, maybe a little up. But when they go really up into like towards the circles and into the slot, that's like, okay, now we're gonna have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And he has that ability, and he has the ability to be dangerous when he does it. And this team's got defensemen on the teams that don't do those things. Peak doesn't do those things.
And you need those steady defensemen. You need those defensive defensemen like that.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
But it's always fun to watch guys like Z and Adam and Blankenberg and those guys just jump all the way up.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're gonna have that soon with Matachek. We'll probably have that with Corson Coleman's. I'm sure we're gonna see that with
absolutely Jiricek, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, KJ, Boki, I'm down with those Stan Svozil. I'm excited for him. We talked about that. I clipped our prospect video.
Yeah.
So actually, did you see the thumbnail for that and how I changed it up a little bit?
I did. It looks nice.
The banner, you like that?
It came up on my YouTube and I was like, oh, I like this. This looks nice.
You like the little banner change? Cool. But yeah, KJ and Boki, I like those picks. There's not really much to recap. So shutout against Toronto at home.
I don't even think we have to talk about that. I didn't watch that game personally. No. That was the one game I didn't get to catch. So perfect one for me not to catch, eh?
Yeah, exactly, right? That was another sellout. Because of course it was. It's Toronto.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's always nice. Like, it's weird because we know what this season is.
Yeah.
We know what this season is at this point. Just try to secure a nice top draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, you feel conflicted when the wins come because, like, you still want to see wins.
Yeah.
But at the same time, for, like, guys like you, like, we joke about it.
Yeah.
We joke about like, oh man, they didn't lose.
Yeah, like here's the thing. It is tough. It's a weird kind of juxtaposition, isn't it? Because you want to see wins, obviously, because you root for the team, and because fans are, people are paying attention to the team.
Yeah,
you want them to go have a good time, so they stay. But at the same time, winning games decreases your chances at getting a player who will almost immediately help you win more games.
Yes.
So it's like a battle of like, oh, we want to win now keep these fans around. But if we suck this year, sure, some might leave, but they'll come back very soon if we get Connor freaking Bedard out of it.
Or Fantilli or Carlson, any of those big top guys.
And don't get me wrong, like we talk about Fantilli and Carlson, they're going to be fantastic players.
This whole class is wild.
It's the different. To me, it's as good as Fantilli and Carlson will be, and they're impact players who can definitely help out a team like the Blue Jackets. It is the difference, in my opinion, between McDavid and Eichel. Where, of course, Eichel's still an unbelievable player. Would you take Eichel on the Blue Jackets? God,
yeah, hell yeah.
But
literally,
Connor McDavid.
But like Connor McDavid is in a whole other stratosphere.
Yeah. So
so that's the weird thing about like cheering for a team that's right at the bottom of the standings and wanting wins, but also like knowing that losses give you a better chance of bringing fans in the near future, right?
Yeah, I was talking about this with Buddy yesterday, and I want to make this quick point. Like, McDavid is such a slam dunk, obviously.
We'll talk about Connor in a minute.
Not just because of how great he is, but because he was almost a 2-for-1 if you think about it. Because not only is he unbelievable, but him coming to Edmonton, he immediately also skyrocketed the development of Leon Draisaitl.
Oh yeah.
You got 2 superstars for 1 pick.
It's wild because like when Dry stepped on the ice for the first time, he didn't really have too much. He was a great player, but like he didn't really click until Connor
took him
came
some
along.
time. And my thing is, well, if you get a Connor Bedard, you got this kid Kent Johnson.
Oh, Connor and Kent. Ooh, that sounds pretty deadly.
I'm just saying.
Hey, put Kirill up there too.
Yeah.
I don't know. That sounds pretty
Everybody's
spicy,
talking about like, if you get Bedard, are you going to do Johnny, Bedard, and Line? I'm like, I don't know. Why wouldn't you do Johnny Boone and Line and
because
then
that works. You know that works.
Kent Johnson, Connor Bedard, and Kirill Marchenko?
Yeah, that's a little.
That would be rough.
I kind of like that.
Yeah,
because like we've always said, we want to see Silly as the 2C.
yeah, but that changes if you get Connor freaking
That
Bedard.
changes if you get Connor Bedard, right? So tell me about Valentine's Day. How was that?
Oh God, Valentine's Day was incredible. So, we went down to Lindy's in Columbus.
Yeah.
Not terribly far from the arena. I actually thought it'd be a little bit further out, but it wasn't. So it was amazing. We both got lobster bisque. We both got the shrimp Cajun angel hair pasta.
Oh, sounds
I got
so good.
a peach Bellini. It was fantastic. It was a wonderful time. So, funny story before that happens. I'm gonna share this about my girlfriend because I was dying.
Shout out to Mel.
Shout out to Mel.
From stories that I've heard, she's awesome.
She's fantastic, and she's got such a great sense of humor. So I felt like such a jackass because before we headed down to Columbus, I went to get gas in my car.
Yeah,
obviously. So we go to the gas station that's by my house, and while we're there, I'm like, "Do you want anything? Like, do you want like coffee or something like that?" So like we go inside, we get a couple snacks for the road, and while we're in there, obviously I'm pumping the gas in my car, like I leave the lock on. So while I walk out with all the stuff in my hands, I'm like, "Hey, can you just pull out the pump?" So, and I'm just gonna put the stuff in the back seat, like so we can take off. And
oh no,
I did this completely forgetting that she's from New Jersey, a place where people don't pump their own gas.
Oh,
so she didn't realize like how it worked and how like when there's the lock on, so she pulled it out and they just sprayed gas all over.
Yeah.
Luckily, it only got on like her sweatshirt, and it's like kind of like a cheap like zip up. So she just threw it away, and like the rest of her clothes and everything were fine. But it was after like 15 minutes after like she just got over it. It was so funny.
That's tough though, considering like there's this whole like current event thing going on with what was it? Like a train fell over.
The thing in East Palestine.
Yeah, like
the train derailment. Yeah,
a train derailed somewhere here in the state.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to get into it about that, but like that whole thing was weird.
It's very strange.
So I don't know why that just made me think of that.
Gas, I guess. I don't know.
Gas, because it's like a bunch of oil spilled, right? Like in chemicals into the air and
yeah, a lot of chemicals into the air. I'm not a scientist, so I don't know like exactly what chemicals, but all I know is it's not good, and
it's not great, right?
Water supply and whatnot, but yeah. So she smelled like gasoline for a little bit, then it like wore off. But it was fine because we left early enough where like she could like get cleaned up and everything before the game, and then obviously the game was the game.
The game was the game. It was fine. 2 seconds. God damn it.
It was one of the best games that they've played in a while, actually, because the Devils are a really good team.
Yeah.
Granted, they don't have Jack Hughes in the lineup, so that's a huge loss for them. Where we actually saw Jack Hughes behind us.
Oh, really? That's
where the section that we were at. We like it's like the second intermission, and
where were you?
So we were in 214.
Okay.
And these 3 girls, there's like 2 Blue Jackets fans and 1 girl in a Jack Hughes jersey, all like together, like in the row next to us. So in 215, because we're at the end of our section. And we look over and they're like all posing for a photo, and like the guy like taking the photos like several steps down, angled up. So we look up behind us and we see Jack Hughes like smiling and like in the picture with them.
Oh,
It was so nice.
oh, that's so
I
good.
thought that was like really sweet of Jack to do that. Like,
Yeah, of course.
he doesn't have to do that, but it was nice for him to do that.
I mean, you always get that. Like hockey players are. It's weird talking about particular players. Like we always know they're good people until we find out they're not.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right? Because we talk about so many stories of hockey players being like meh. But when you get good stories like that, it's always great.
I mean, well, he comes from a great family. Like,
yeah.
Jack, Quinn, and Luke are all fantastic players, and they're all fantastic people. They're a little bit on the quieter side. That kind of keeps themselves, but they're awesome.
Just 2 seconds, man.
Yeah. Here's the thing that like made me laugh the most about it, though.
I know it was a win-win for you.
Here's 2 points I want to make. Okay, the first one is if you're gonna win, win.
Yeah,
wins aren't the worst thing in the world. However, the worst thing for a team in our position is overtime losses. If you're gonna win, win. If you're gonna lose, lose.
Yes, exactly. Make
So
sure everything's
I don't want to sound like I'm coping here to come up with some like spin zone about. Oh, actually, this was a good thing to lose in the last 2 seconds of the game. No, but what I'm saying is like, rather that than to lose in overtime.
Yeah, rather a regulation loss for
and
draft
an overtime
position
loss.
purposes.
Yes, because overtime losses for a team like us does nothing for us. They hurt us way more than anything.
Yes.
The goal itself, what I found funny about it was it wasn't Nico Hischier dancing through the zone and sniping. It wasn't Dougie Hamilton blasting a puck a million miles an hour. He had a shot in the first period that it did go wide in the net, but I like gasped at how freaking hard it was. He wound up, and I thought, like, I was like on the opposite end of the ice, and I was like, like
you flinched from the other side of the ring.
Yes. He is freaking huge. He's unbelievable. Devils have so many great players. Like it's unbelievable. Like we saw Jesper Bratt scored an unbelievable goal. And
obviously I want to shout out our Devils boys, Alex, Neil. We know we love you.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, Alex and I had some good conversations after the game. No, it wasn't any of their top players making an unbelievable play. It was Michael McLeod dusting Andrew Peak and then finding a wide open Ryan Graves.
I mean, Gravy's a good player, though.
He is a good player, but he's not an offensive player. That would be like Eric Robinson dangling behind their defense and then passing it to Andrew Peak for the game winner.
Eric Goodbranson.
Okay, let's not go that far. Ryan Graves is a good player.
Okay, so enough about the Devils. I'm glad you guys had a great time.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable time. She was going nuts. It was funny.
We still need to plan ours too, and just
absolutely we do. Yeah.
And then Winnipeg was just like, that was the game that I was like, why are we winning this?
He swept the Jets.
Yeah. So weird.
The Jets are good.
Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler are playing defense this year.
Patrick Laine, he scored in that game.
Of course he did, because
gross shot. But I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I know I gave my Kepi to Boki, but the start of the game was Corpy. He was fantastic.
Rosie getting a point too, so both of the former Jets boys getting in on the action.
I didn't even notice.
He got the primary on KJ Skull.
Oh,
fun.
So yeah, it was nice to see Laine score. It was nice to see Corpy play the way he did.
That brings up an interesting
trade value.
That's the thing, that it's a weird position to be in, because we've got, we're going to talk about a big trade that broke last night, but our guys that are on the docket, we know they're asking for a 1, a 3, and a 4, and they're not budging on that for Vlad Gavrikov.
They're gonna get it. They're probably gonna get it. Like some team is gonna cave because
who knows what you can get for
winning
Gus
a cup.
Who knows what you could get for Gus with him being on LTIR now?
You get a later round pick. And get what? I think it'll be a similar trade to the Riley Nash deal that we saw with Toronto, where you got a 7th round pick.
Okay.
And they put the guy on LTIR and maybe they use him in the playoffs.
But Corpy's an interesting case with that because, like, we've been talking about how do we get out from under Elvis's cap hit with him being so bad this year, like unfortunately bad. Like, do you trade him? But like the easier trade to make is Corpy because he's cheaper. And yet you look at what he's doing and it's like, do we invest in this guy now?
It's tough because like when we look at what he's doing and he's been great, but it's not enough of a background to make me say you invest in that long term. It would have to be on a bridge deal or something like that. And I just don't know if he's willing to do that at this point. I think he wants a little bit of security, both financial and in terms of term.
Yeah.
You can't make an Elvis trade in the middle of the season. That's an off-season trade.
Yeah.
That's just not a trade that you're making at the deadline.
It's just like it's a very tough spot in net.
You got to find a team that needs a backup goaltender. And frankly, I'm looking at teams in the East. There's not one that needs one.
Teams in the West, well, like
it's fine.
Yeah, Boston's fine. Toronto's
Tampa, fine. Pittsburgh, the Rangers. Hawks been fantastic these last few weeks.
Yeah.
Carolina's got 3 goalies.
DeSmith is a little iffy if you ask Pittsburgh fans, but like,
yeah, but as far as they're concerned, they like him. So, and they've got him locked up beyond the year.
Yeah, and then the Isles have Varley and Charlie Lindgren.
And they might trade Varley, but they might keep him. We don't know about that, but
Lindgren's been great in Washington.
Yeah.
So it's just like there's no, unless you go out west, it's like, what do you do?
Like, does Minnesota take a look?
I mean, because that's a weird one. Because like it's Fleury and Gustafsson, and like you don't see much from Gustafsson, and Fleury's finally kind of showing signs of aging.
I'll make a case right now. The team that probably is best suited for Corpy,
Kings.
Okay, yeah, I'll hear you out on Kings for sure. But I was going to say Seattle.
They're riding Phoenix Copley in LA, like, ugh.
Yeah. Corpy should definitely be an option for LA, but I'm thinking Seattle.
Yeah, especially with the situation with Drager still. It's it's weird.
It'd be a true rental. So, but like, what's his value at this point? Is it a 4th? Is it a 3rd? Like, I have no idea. I have no idea.
Is it a 5th and like a lower level prospect? I don't know.
Or maybe is his value a little bit higher because he's so cheap?
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? But speaking of value, because we don't really have games to talk about because they're playing Dallas tonight and whatever. Big trade broke overnight, and this is what's starting the blockbusters pre-deadline. We've got some fun coming up after deadline, but this is a big one that broke last night. Ryan O'Reilly is a Toronto Maple Leaf.
Yes. Ryan
O'Reilly and Noel Acciari going from St. Louis to Toronto. Let me actually pull up the tweets here. This is huge because like Kyle Dubas normally breaks his trades like overnight and then people don't find out until the morning and they're like, oh.
Yeah. That has been a staple of Kyle Dubas.
But this actually happened like, before people went to bed last night. So people have actually been able to talk about it for a bit. Here we go. Here's the tweet thread. Toronto Maple Leafs. We have acquired Ryan O'Reilly and Noel Acciari in a 3-team trade with St. Louis and Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
St. Louis receives Mikhail Abramov and Adam Gaudette. Abramov, prospect, Adam Gaudette. He's an NHL player, but he's been playing mostly in the minors this year.
He's like a fringe bottom six guy who had a good college career, but he's more filler than anything, like a roster spot.
He's fine. He's a good name. I like his game.
Yeah, he's just not impactful enough to be a consistent NHL player, in my opinion. But he is a guy that you can play in a pinch.
Yeah. So those two players, they get Toronto's first round pick this year.
Mm-hmm.
Ottawa's third round pick this year.
And that was from the Matt Murray deal.
That was the Matt Murray trade. And Toronto's second round pick in 24.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota gets Toronto's fourth round pick in 2025, which is Magic Beans.
Yes, absolute Magic Beans. And they do it in return for taking on a little bit of the cap hit.
So before we get to the retention part, because that's actually a big, huge part of this.
Yeah, it's because it helps them be able to make the deal.
This is the all-in push that the Leafs are making.
Mm-hmm.
You solidify a portion of your middle six, if not your top six, if you want to try O'Reilly on the wing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, imagine your center depth as, like, Austin Matthews, John Tavares, Ryan O'Reilly, and David Kampf.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I'm going to tell you right now, they're not playing all three of these guys at center.
No, because Noel Acciari is a center. That's the other thing about this, is getting Noel Acciari out of it, too.
I love the Noel Acciari addition to it. Noel Acciari is going to be fantastic. This is exactly the kind of player they need for their bottom six. This is a guy, his expected goals against this year on ice this season, 80th percentile.
Wow.
He's been fantastic defensively.
Him and David Kempf as your 1-2 punch shutdown guys.
Expected goals for 64%.
It's like, whoa. That is like a perfect shutdown center depth for your bottom six. Like, you will not get past the middle anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Kampf and him will be fantastic in that role. I think Ryan O'Reilly is your number 2 center.
Really? You think they're going to shift Johnny T over, huh?
They're going to shift him to the wing. It's been talked about for a while.
Yeah.
This has been a conversation point for a lot of people with the Leafs. There's two reasons they're doing this. Okay. Mm-hmm. One, this is absolutely an all-in push.
Yes.
But two, I think that this is a chance for Toronto to shift John Tavares to the wing permanently. And this will do two things for him. It will allow him to be an effective player longer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it will allow them to maximize his value.
Right. The thing that we always talk about is, Tavares needs a left winger. Tavares needs a left winger. What if he is the left winger? Yeah.
Because John Tavares, for as fantastic as he is offensively, has never been a good defensive player, ever. That's not going to change in his 30s, okay?
Right.
However, it doesn't matter as much how he plays defensively if he's a winger, if your centerman is Ryan O'Reilly,
who's one of the Selke best caliber,
one of the best two-way centers in all of hockey.
Conn Smythe winner with the Blues in 2019. He was their captain.
A guy who has won a cup, who's been a captain. Like, you're getting everything that Maple Leafs fans have wanted on their roster, they're getting in one trade. They're getting someone for the bottom six in Noel Acciari. They're getting a top 6 player who has won a Stanley Cup, who's good defensively, who's good offensively.
Great leader.
Not afraid to get their nose dirty. The only thing they need to do now is go out and get a defenseman.
Ryan O'Reilly's had a fun career.
He has.
Because, like, He gets drafted in the Duchesne draft.
We're the Colorado, like first 3 picks for the Colorado Avalanche. Do you remember who they are?
Duchesne, O'Reilly, and Tyson Berry, right?
Yep. Yeah. That's a pretty insane first 3 picks for a draft.
It's like, whoa, and they're all gone. They're all gone
But
by
they're
now.
all like key parts of being able to bring back guys who could help them win a cup, Duchesne deal unbelievably helped Colorado.
Yes.
The Tyson Berry deal brought them Nazem Kadri.
Mm-hmm.
The O'Reilly deal didn't really help them in the long run win a cup, but like still like unbelievable.
Yeah, but so then O'Reilly goes to Buffalo, and unfortunate how it ended up with him in Buffalo, and just
Miserable
everything, just because that was really the miserable middle of the road years where they just couldn't do anything with Jack and Ryan.
So Jack was there. It wasn't going well. Ryan was there. Evander Kane was there. Robin Leonard was there. And it was just miserable. Everyone hated it.
Ryan even said, like, playing in Buffalo, he lost his love for the game of hockey.
And it's the same thing I say happened for Robin Leonard. Like, and it's nothing against the city of Buffalo.
No.
Obviously, like, people are having a grand old time in Buffalo right now. It's not
yeah, exactly.
It was the culture of the team and how things were run at the time. It was so unbelievably bad.
Mm-hmm.
People just didn't like being there.
But then he goes to St. Louis, and lo and behold, look at what he did.
Wins a Stanley Cup immediately, sees a lot of success, becomes the captain, and hey,
Conn Smythe.
Yeah, Conn Smythe. Like, and not to mention, like, not only was it like good for St. Louis, it ended up being good for Buffalo too. They get Tage Thompson out of the deal.
Yeah.
So like his career path has been fun in the sense that like teams have done pretty well when they've had him, and they've also done pretty well when they've dealt him.
Right. So
obviously that's what Blues fans are hoping for right now.
Yeah. And this definitely, for the Blues side of things, very quickly, this signals rebuild, because we're not even going to talk about the Tarasenko trade because we just don't have the time for that.
I think it's retool.
Probably.
I don't think they see themselves as a rebuild, but they probably should.
3-year minimum, maybe.
Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how long it would take, but I think that the draft picks that they get from this deal, as well as the ones that they got from the Tarasenko deal, I think their plan is either to trade up in the draft, or they're going to use those picks to try and shift the dynamic moving forward. But regardless, as far as Toronto is concerned for this,
the Blues now have 3 picks in the first round in this year's draft.
They have their own. Is the Rangers on this year?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure, but I haven't looked at those trade details in a while because it broke when I was like in the middle of doing things. Mm-hmm. But they have Toronto's. They have their own.
No, I think it was actually next year's deal, because the Rangers' first round pick this year went to Dallas in the
Lundqvist deal.
Or wait, was it? Or is it the other way around? Oh no,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, go ahead.
It doesn't really matter. The big thing is they have 3 first round picks in this year's draft.
Yes, they do. They do. Can confirm. I was being an idiot for a second. Anyway, go on.
So they have those, and they're, they can use those however they want. We know Doug Armstrong is a very, very smart general manager, so he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And they have their core too still. Like, they have the nice young core that's centered around Thomas and Kyrou.
Mm-hmm.
They have a few good supporting pieces still.
Mm-hmm.
Barbashev might be on the move. Who knows?
He's probably going to get on the move too, and they might get a first round pick for him.
Yeah. Binnington is Binnington. You just invested in that. That's all we'll say about it.
Not entirely sure he's a Blue next year.
Who knows? But yeah, now that O'Reilly's gone and Acciari, they've got some work to do.
They do. They got their work cut out for them, but this is a good start. This is obviously a great draft class to start a retool or rebuild in, obviously. So they're going to have several picks to do it. and they've got good pieces long term that are young.
Yes.
Obviously Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou. So like they're a team that I don't think is close to being a cup contender. Like that window has closed, but I think just as easily it can be reopened in short order if you make the right moves.
Yes.
But it's tough because the other core that they've got signed is a little older. Braco, Falk, Bennington is not young. Like they got some pieces that are signed longer that are a little bit on the older side that they need to get that sorted out.
Is Leddy still there, or did he move?
Who?
Nick Leddy.
Nick Leddy's still there. He's got like 2 years on his deal.
Oh God.
So like after this season. So
okay.
Not ideal.
All right. And then obviously Toronto gets a huge center that they need.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not done. They can move Hall, they can move Kerfoot still. They have like 3 pieces that they can still move in order to make a lot of space.
They're probably not going to move Hall.
Probably not.
I don't know why.
It's weird because like Hall's such like when he's good, he has very, very solid games, but when he's bad, it's a really big stinker.
It's good Branson level.
It's like a huge stinker. It's just wow how bad and those games, they happen every once in a while for Justin Hall. But then he gets defined by those games because it's Toronto and it's just wow.
Yeah, no doubt about it. He wouldn't have this media attention if he played in Anaheim. But they need a steady defenseman, probably a right-hand shot defenseman.
Mm-hmm.
This is my issue with Toronto. Like, I love this move for Toronto, and I think that this gives them a better chance to be a threat. But I just can't take them seriously with Morgan Rielly as their number 1 defenseman.
The thing that's the thing is like Mo is such a Paul Coffey like defenseman where he's just go.
He's a rover. It's all time.
Yeah. He needs that Kevin Lowe to really play back and cover those defensive deficiencies.
And that's been talked about so long. Like, he's talented offensively. He's dynamic in that sense, but he hasn't even been great offensively this year. So I got 2 goals. But this has been a talking point for like a half a decade now.
Right.
At what point is it not so much we can't find a defensive partner for him, or is it he's hard to play with and he can't be your number 1 defenseman ever?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you, man. I really as a guy that cheers for that team and enjoys players on that team. I don't know. I really couldn't tell you because he mostly works well with Brody. Brody's evolved his game to the point where he's the ultimate defensive guy.
He's like the only defenseman that they've ever found to play with him, and he's left-hand shot. And I know he can play the right side, but you'd like a right-hand shot to play with him.
Right.
And playing Brody with Rielly does take away a little bit of what you want to do defensively.
Lily is fine. Like Timothy Liljegren is okay.
I like his game.
I like his game.
A lot stronger as the years gone along.
But he's just not at that level yet to play with a guy like Mo.
Yes. He's not a first pair defenseman. I think he's going to be a really good second pair defenseman.
He's great with Rasmus. He's great with Sandin.
Sandin struggled. I still think he's going to be a good second pair defenseman too.
Mm-hmm.
But don't get me wrong. Do they need a third pair defenseman and need to get Justin Hall out of lineup? Absolutely. But I don't think third pair defenseman is what's going to hold the Leafs back again if they don't get past the first round again, or even if they go in the second round.
Right.
They badly need a number 1 defenseman who is not Morgan Rielly. And unfortunately, that's not a move you can make right now.
Yeah. Okay. So quick wrapping up parts of this trade. So the salary retention is huge. This is a gigantic piece to this.
Yeah, so St. Louis retains 50%, and then a fourth-round pick went to Minnesota, so they can retain 25%, which is the max that they're allowed to retain.
Yes. So basically, the Leafs get Ryan O'Reilly for a quarter of his total cap hit.
Yeah, because that's really the only way that they could fit him in, especially with Noel Acciari coming in as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's at $1.3 million, if I'm correct on that.
Acciari is somewhere around there, yes.
Yeah.
So basically, I don't know what Ryan's cap hit is, other than that it's huge.
It's 7.5.
7.5. Okay. So yeah, basically, you're able to get your new second line center on the cheap with brokering teams like this.
Yes. It would come at about 1.875.
Like we've seen this with the way teams trade in and out of division with the salary retention, right? Like the first thing that came to my mind was the Erik Karlsson deals.
Yes.
Or the Mike Hoffman deals, right?
Mike Hoffman deal was hilarious.
Yeah, Hoffman was really funny because like Hoffman, he leaves Ottawa, he gets traded over to San Jose, and then they immediately, like within minutes, flipped him into the division again to go to Florida.
Because I was like, we're not trading you in division. And then the Sharks were like, LOL.
Yeah, it's just.
So, like, the Sharks dumped a contract, didn't have to give up much of a pick to get Hoffman, and then they flipped him for a lot more. It was so funny.
It's funny how, like, I love when teams do that, and then I love when teams that are like divisional rivals help to broker money.
Yeah.
It's just weird to me when they do that. Especially with a team like Minnesota's the one you're going to choose, the one that's got the cap crunch with the buyouts.
Well, the thing about it, it doesn't hurt Minnesota at all to do it because it's only this season. So the cap crunch with the buyouts does not impact this at all.
Okay.
And if you're Minnesota, the way I think they're viewing it is we have no problem doing this. We'll get a draft pick out of it, and we are ensuring that Ryan O'Reilly is going to the East.
Yes, he's no longer in the division. He's no longer in
a division,
conference.
so we no longer have to deal with him, and we don't have to worry about them dealing Ryan O'Reilly to a team that we might have to play.
Right.
So I get that from Minnesota's perspective because, with the teams that you look at that are ahead of them, is they're kind of holding on to a playoff position right now. They've only got Calgary 2 points behind them.
We'll talk about Calgary in a second.
That's something I would do too.
And then just to wrap it up, the Leafs also get Josh Pilar, who's a prospect from the Wild, to just tie a bow on the trade. So pretty much it's like, yeah, the Toronto wins this big time. It's a huge blockbuster. It's probably, we had the Tarasenko deal. Is this bigger than the Tarasenko deal?
It is. It absolutely is. Because here's the thing. The reason that some people may say Tarasenko is because Tarasenko in his prime was such a big name.
Right.
And he still is a big name.
He's the Tarasenko show.
Yeah, he is. But in terms of substance, like if you're picking a player to add to your team to help you win a cup this year, just a rental, I would say more than 85% of GMs would pick Ryan O'Reilly over Vlad Tarasenko.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's a center.
Yeah.
Because he's a great two-way center. And, he's shown that he can be a number one center on a team that wins a cup, even though that's not what he is now. He's a good number two. He has shown that he can be relied on in that way. Tarasenko's game has slipped a little bit. He's still really good. I don't want to make it sound like he's completely fallen off a map. He's not what he used to be. No, he's still good. He's just not that point per game player good that he used to be. Like, if you give him 82 games this season, he can get you 30 goals and 65 points. He's still really good, but he's not what he used to be.
Him playing with Panarin's going to be fun.
Oh, absolutely. I think it already is fun. He's already had some good games with the Rangers. That's a good. I know we said we weren't going to get into it a ton. All I'm going to say is that's a really good trade for the Rangers. I like that addition a lot for them.
Red, Zibanejad, Tarasenko, it's money.
I think it gives them more flexibility for their lineup.
Yeah. And quick thing before we get into the next thing, I'm just seeing this tweet come up from Svo. I'm going to guess the only previous time Kirill Marchenko was in Dallas was in 2018 when he was drafted in the city. I love this draft picture too. It's so good.
Oh, was the 2018 draft in Dallas?
Yeah.
Nice.
So this
I never remember where the drafts are as far as locations are concerned.
I mean, apparently that one was in Dallas. So nice. So fun.
Dallas seems like a cool place. I got to visit sometime.
Yeah, I would love to go to Dallas. So this time of year, January, February, we're all about resolutions, right?
Yeah.
Trying new things, trying to do big things. Everybody always wants to do big things in a new year.
Of course.
And everyone thinks that we need to, like, even after the holidays, go all out and spend more.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. With going to the gym and whatnot. That's like the biggest one.
Yeah. And you pay for a gym membership and it costs you an arm and a leg for 6 months and then you don't go. And
yeah, you go for like 6 days. That's it.
Most of the time, though, you don't really need to break the bank for these things.
No.
Especially for things that you use every day. Like earbuds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Raycon's a great cheap option.
Of course.
Premium audio at the perfect price point. And Raycons, for me, personally, I work, you guys know where I work. I walk everywhere and I work at the back of house in a restaurant. Mm-hmm. So I put on my own music, my own podcasts, and Raycons really help with that.
Yeah, we talk about sound quality for music. It's like incredibly paramount for podcasts too. Like if you're listening to us, you want to make sure that the sound quality of us is good too.
You want to make sure our sound quality is good. If you're a big STP guy, you want to make sure you're hearing Steve's screaming or Adam and Jesse's weird hot takes.
Yeah. Hear Steve talk about getting owned by Brad Marchand on Twitter.
Oh, can we talk about that later?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. But yeah, Raycons are the perfect option because they're a lot cheaper. They're low latency. They last a lot longer than your typical earbuds.
Mm-hmm. Durability is very important for earbuds.
Durability and battery life. Battery life especially.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But yeah. Raycons also start at half the price of your normal everyday earbuds, which is great.
Yeah, that's the big sell here, right?
Yeah, that's the big thing, right? You don't want to end up spending like hundreds of dollars on your earbuds.
God no.
And you don't even really have to choose with Raycons. You can get one of each or a pair and a spare. Like I can use a certain colored pair for going on walks downtown and then a certain colored pair at work.
Yeah.
Kind of fun that way, right?
A little bit. I think so.
And even now, if you don't love them as much as we do, Raycon wants to make sure that you will. So, like I said, the noise isolation is one thing that's amazing.
Yes.
It's
especially
funny
on
that
airplanes.
It's funny working in in a place where you need to communicate though, and then you put your stuff in.
And you're like, why are you communicating with me? This is the whole purpose of putting these in.
Let me wash my dishes in peace. If you need something, tap my shoulder.
Yeah.
So yes, the noise isolation is great. especially if you just need time to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The custom gel tips, like I said, you can put any different colors, mix and match them, make them look nice.
Feel comfortable.
Make them look weird.
Yeah.
If you're that kind of guy. And of course, the clear, amazing sound and call quality.
Yeah, call quality too.
Yeah, because a lot of times people need them for phone calls, right?
Yeah, if you ever gone to an airport, you'll just see people just talking on their phones with their earbuds in.
If you're at an airport, if you're in your car,
Yep.
all of
Although
that.
you probably shouldn't be wearing, any kind of earphones in your car. I'm pretty sure that's illegal. Unless you're like passenger or backseat.
Bluetooth headset.
Yeah. Can't wear them while you're driving.
Fair enough. But yeah, are you ready to buy something small with a big impact? Go to raycon.com/THPN today and get 15% off your Raycon order. That's buyraycon.com/THPN to score 15% off. Buyraycon.com/THPN. Okay, speaking of another place that centered around horses, I guess. I know it's not my best transition, I know.
I have no idea where you're going with it. I didn't even bother looking at the docket today. I kind of wanted to be surprised.
There's some beef going on between agent and head coach.
Oh.
Allan Walsh defending his guy. And there's not really too much to this story.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was kind of fun because it's Allan Walsh. He's always got interesting stories coming around him, right?
It's the most interesting agent in hockey.
Tweet from Allan. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Also, negativity sucks the joy right out of players. CC, and he tagged the Flames.
Wow, that's a bold strategy.
So what that says to us
is Huberdeau's not happy.
Jonathan Huberdeau was the big trade acquisition for Matt Tkachuk, and he hasn't been what Tkachuk is. Like, we know this. He hasn't put up Tkachuk numbers. Tkachuk's been lights out in Florida.
He's fourth in the league in scoring.
Huberdeau put up a career year in points with 115 last year. And
his J Fresh graph is so funny.
It's a huge drop.
So you can see the Darryl Sutter effect, okay? Let me read you his last 2 years, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Expected goals for percentage for Jonathan Huberdeau in 2021, that season, 81 percentile.
Mm-hmm.
Defense, 18.
Oof,
last year, 78%.
Mm-hmm.
Defense, 8%.
8?
8. He has never been good defensively.
Well, no.
This year, his offense, 34%.
Oh.
His defense, 86.
Wow. Wow.
It's just such a Darryl Sutter effect. Like, I looked at it this morning and I was like, oh my God.
Well, that's the thing is, like, we've known, okay, so essentially Huberdeau was brought in as the Tkachuk replacement, and yet you look at, like, the Johnny thing, the Johnny factor too, and
yeah, because you look at Johnny's defense in Calgary, like, you could see, like, when Darryl Sutter took over, he's like one of the top defensive forwards in the league.
And he's still great defensively here, more or less.
Yeah.
For what it's worth. It's like, but like, so we expected, Jonathan Huberdeau to be that star player for the Flames this year. They don't really have a star player. Like, everything's by committee right now.
Yeah.
Toffoli's arguably been one of their best.
Lindholm is obviously a guy that they rely on a ton. They brought in Kadri. But like they don't have like with Gaudreau and Kachuk gone, they don't have a bona fide superstar.
Right.
Coming into the season, though, they thought that that was going to be Huberdeau because he's coming up 115 points, and like Johnny, we all said that's not going to happen again. It's
right.
So hard to repeat 115 points in a season unless you're Connor McDavid.
We'll get to that.
Like we obviously expected a drop off, and I said realistically 90 points, right?
Yeah, that's what we wanted out of Johnny as well. Like,
so Huberdeau this season,
he only has 10 goals.
And in his defense, he has always been more of a playmaker, right?
Yes.
So understandable to only have 10 goals at this point of the season. He's not really a shoot first guy. He only has 26 assists. That's unheard of for him.
I will say, so the beef part of this, because obviously like Allan was criticizing Darryl Sutter's coaching.
No doubt about it.
Right? Darryl got asked in the presser about this. I'm assuming he might have read it too. I don't know. Probably not because he's Darryl Sutter.
Definitely not. He doesn't care.
Well, he doesn't care, and he's just been around so long that I don't even know if he understands how Twitter works.
Right.
Tweet from Tim and Friends. Social media is what anybody, social media and what anybody says doesn't affect locker room ever. Darryl Sutter responds to Allan Walsh's tweet. So I guess he was told about it.
Oh, I'm sure he was. Someone definitely would have told him about it.
Just
looking at this. Okay. Last year, obviously, he was a point per game player.
Right.
Year before that, he was above a point per game. Year before that, above a point per game. Year before that, above a point per game. This will be the first time since 2017-18 that he will not be a point per game player, and he had 69 points in 82 games. So, was that 1, 2, 3, a 4-year streak of being above a point per game player is inevitably going to come to an end this season. And in those seasons, he had goals by season 30, 23, 20, 30. So he's always been primarily more of a pass first guy. 62 assists, 55 assists, 41 assists, 85 assists. Ugh. God.
Yeah, wow. Oh, dude, Kaddish.
But yeah, so there's no doubt about it. Not only is his playmaking down, but his goal scoring is down too.
Well, you got to remember too that he was also never really the guy in Florida either. That was more Sasha. Like I always considered Sasha the better player.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Me too.
Barkov was absolutely the better player between the two of them. But like, yeah.
But it's not like he was getting like carried by him. It's just this is a really good player playing with a great player. And they make magic happen.
Yeah. And now, I mean, we thought that we were going to get that.
Yeah.
But just so happens that hockey's unpredictable, and lo and behold, this is what's going on.
I think this is a case in point, is a perfect example of how much of hockey is coaching with a lot of these players.
Yeah.
So, like,
is it fair to say that Darryl's been around too long? Because he overstayed his welcome in Los Angeles.
Yeah. I mean, it happens with just about every coach. Every coach eventually gets fired because they overstay their welcome, right?
Tortorella, absolutely.
Inevitably that will happen to Mike Sullivan, who I think is a fantastic coach.
Well, there's
it happened to Bruce Cassidy.
There's a strange, there's an undertone with Darryl Sutter to me, because I watched a video explaining this. Apparently, when he was with the Kings, there were points where he would get barricaded and locked out of the locker room, and the players would leave before he could get in, just so he couldn't like berate the hell out of him.
Yeah.
So it's
He
like,
is a great coach, but you have to be able to adjust. And he has now become a coach who's, you bring him in, he's great immediately. He'll probably win the Jack Adams. You'll probably win 45 plus games.
last year was his first Jack Adams ever.
And, it's going to fall off. Right. There are a lot of coaches who are like that. Like, and I don't want to like say that they're not good coaches. That they are good coaches, but they just don't have the longevity of a great coach. Pete DeBoer is the same way. Pete DeBoer, you hire him, you are immediately going to have a lot of success.
Yes, his first years with it, yeah.
John Tortorella, the same way. The first few years in Columbus were fantastic. First few years in New York were fantastic. First few years in Tampa were outstanding. So this is kind of where I view Darryl Sutter, and I think that long term, it will hold them back.
I think it's the other thing with like the Flames and Sutter in particular, where it's like when back like 20 years ago when he was their coach and they went all the way to the final.
And
right?
Lost to John Tortorella.
And lost to John Tortorella. And then you look at what he does now after he wins cups with the Kings, and it's just not really the same.
It's hard to be a great coach for 20 plus years in a sport because of how much everything changes.
Yeah, because the sport changes.
You know who's really suffering from that right now? The team with quite literally the greatest coach of all time, the Patriots.
Yeah. Belichick hasn't really clicked with the modern NFL, has he?
No, not these last few years. He hasn't. They still had some decent seasons. They'll still win 7-8 games a year, which is bad, but Brady, it's not the Patriots.
Brady Magic, right? Brady Magic can only take you so far.
And then when you lose the magic, like it falls apart, especially as how things change. So I just think that that's kind of something that Darryl Sutter's going through, that several other coaches are going through. But who are the coaches that are going to stay around for a while? I know he's not a head coach right now. Andrew Brunette's going to get a job sometime this offseason, and he's going to be a coach for a long time, and he's going to be fantastic at it.
I know Bruce Boudreau is back as an analyst, but like I want to see him get one more shot.
I think he will get another shot, and he deserves it because he's fantastic guy, fantastic coach. There's a lot of good coaches that I think the younger one, like Jim Montgomery, going to be a coach for a long time.
Yeah. I don't know so much about a guy like DJ Smith, maybe with the right team.
Yeah, DJ's a good players coach, and Ottawa has improved a little bit, but I think they might give him another year, but his seat is starting to work. Oh, my favorite guy, Don Granato.
Donnie Meatballs
is going to be a coach in Buffalo for a long time.
Donnie Meatballs is there to stay.
What's his name in Detroit?
Oh, Lalonde.
Lalonde, yeah. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
I like him a lot.
Oh, God. There's a zinger. That's a callback.
Yeah.
I'm still mad we couldn't call that episode 5th round piss. That's
yeah. I know Montreal's not having a great season, which obviously was expected.
Marty St. Louis, come on!
He's going to be a coach for a long time. That's just a transition for teams and coaches in this new era.
We should mention Lars because he's on the younger side of that.
He's not a good coach, though. I thought we were naming good coaches here.
But that's what I'm trying to say is like, you mentioned the younger guys, and Lars has been in this system forever, and it's just like, I don't know. I think he's like overstayed a little bit just here.
I think he's he's overcooked. I think he's the guy that would benefit from being an assistant coach elsewhere.
Yeah, a new team would help him.
Different system.
Yes,
I don't mean going to Philadelphia to become an assistant under John Tortorella again. He needs to be an assistant with a new school style of coach
Mm-hmm.
and be able to create a balance in his systems. And I think there's potential there for him to maybe become a good coach one day. It's not going to be in Columbus. It's
No.
definitely not going to be in Columbus.
No, he's definitely like he's burnt to a crisp here.
Absolutely.
But that's basically like that's the gist of this story, and the beef between Allan and Darryl is, Allan's doing his job and sticking up for his guy.
He's sticking up for his guy, and he has got the leverage. I'm sorry, what are you going to do? Trade the player who you just signed an 8-year extension to for over $10 million?
Yeah, and that's more on tree living than anything.
Which I'm not going to blame tree living for. I would have signed him to that deal, absolutely.
Oh yeah, after
Just
the year he
over
had,
$10 million for the full 8 years for a guy who he's coming off 115 points. Like, yeah, I would have done it.
You're gonna bank on 90, hopefully.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, yeah, it's just this season hasn't turned out the way the Flames wanted it to, and it's because of this old school coach.
Mm-hmm.
That it's just the sun is setting on this kind of coaching.
It is. It's absolutely setting, and it does. Like, the other thing that's holding him back is goaltending.
Yeah, Markstrom's not been like Markstrom and Vladar. It's night and day with Jacob Markstrom.
It is.
He's following up a 922 with like what, an 890 something.
Oh god, let me tell you, he's going to have a fantastic season next year. But yeah, it's been a disaster this season, and I like Dan Vladar. He's a young guy, but he's not a starting goalie yet in the National Hockey League. I don't know if he's ever going to get to be a starting goalie in the National Hockey League, but I do like him as a backup at this point. But
yeah,
you can't rely on him for over 30 games in a season if you want to be a playoff team. So they're kind of stuck with dealing with Markstrom and just hoping that he figures it out.
Mm-hmm. And that's really it. Is just the agent was right. Allan was right. Like,
he has more often than not been right.
Yes. And I mean,
He's
we
right
say
about
that
Vegas. He's been right about Peter DeBoer.
I'm surprised we didn't get a new like sword tweet stabbing Huberdeau in the back with a Sutter written on it.
He's been right about airlines losing luggage for players.
Oh, poor David. God.
No, I'm on his side in this one because at the end of the day, like it's the saying as old as time. It's easier to fire the coach than to fire a whole bunch of players. And
right.
Yeah, of course, Huberdeau's the headliner here because Walsh is his agent. But I promise you, Huberdeau is not the only player who feels this way.
No,
I can promise you that.
Guys like, Mangiapane are probably feeling it too.
Mangiapane, we've been waiting for him to really truly break out, and we've seen so much potential from him, and his underlying numbers are great, but I think coaching is holding him back a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. We gotta move cross province for a minute. Because Connor McDavid has already hit 100 points. And we still have over a month left, like a month and a half.
Yawn.
50.
Wake me up when he scores 200 points.
Yeah, exactly, right? I would love to see, God, imagine a 200-point season for Connor McDavid in this NHL.
Wake me up when he can score 2 points against the Jackets in Edmonton.
Yeah, exactly, right? Wake me up when he's not a minus against Columbus and Edmonton.
Yeah.
God, like, no wonder everybody loves this guy.
He's got 42 goals.
56 games played, 42 goals, 59 assists. He's over an assist per game.
He's on pace to score 61. Did Austin have 60 last year, or did he have more than 60?
He was right at 60.
Wow. Austin Matthews really scored 60 goals, and some people argued that he might be the best player in the league. Me. I made that argument at one point last year.
I mean,
and Connor McDavid responds by scoring over 60 the next year. That's so funny.
It's just like, man, he's got 101 points in 56 games. Wow. He's still on pace for like 150 point plus season, right? 104. Oh.
He'd be on pace for 150 if he scored a couple more against Columbus, but that's neither.
But that didn't have it. Yeah.
I think he'll get to 150. I think he, like, as the season like winds down and we get closer, I think he's gonna take a couple more shots.
Gonna start heating up a little bit more.
Eat up a little bit more.
I want,
man. Like,
dude, I want to see him at least tie Yzerman.
Yeah,
I kind of want to see that.
Hell yeah.
You know what's the funniest part just about this season in particular?
What?
He's a +4. He is only a +4.
This is where, like, the argument about plus minus that we've talked about before, this is where like it has no weight.
Yeah.
When you find out that Connor McDavid's only a +4, that's when you find out, like, oh, this is a stat that we should just never value.
Yeah, this is such a flawed stat. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Dude, he's
what
almost
the hell.
He is 2 points away in his career from 800.
That's ridiculous. He just got here.
It's wild because it feels like he just got drafted yesterday, right?
It does. It doesn't feel like a ton of time has passed from him getting drafted. It's crazy how fast time is.
His career, 543 games. Can you believe he's already played over 500 games in the NHL? I can't.
Here's why. For 1 second. Here's why you shouldn't trust plus minus. Okay. Mm-hmm. Connor McDavid's a +4.
Yeah.
Do you want to know who's a +9 on the Oilers?
Oh God.
Cody Ceci.
No. No way. No, Cody Norris.
Oh, God.
Wow. Okay, so Connor's career, he's played in 543 games. He's got 281 goals. He's got 517 assists for 798 points. Mm-hmm. He's a +96. He's not even a +100.
It's so ridiculous. That is just the fine work of Pete Chiarelli and okay, why am I blanking on his name? Ken Holland.
Yeah, Kenny Holland, yeah.
Yes, God.
Oh, Kenny boy.
That is just some nasty work from those two.
Well, because we've known throughout his career so far, he's had to do everything himself. Even with Draisaitl, he feels like he's got to do it all himself.
Oh my God, this is what happens when your goalies are Jack Campbell and Mikko Koskinen and Mike Smith for a large part of his Edmonton career. Like,
I mean, hopefully Stuart Skinner turns that around, but like, man,
Stuart Skinner looks like a guy. I like him.
He's got a hell of a mustache.
Dude, his mustache is awesome.
Dude, You can't
suck as an athlete with a mustache like that.
No.
Like, you have to at least be average.
He's got like the perfect like Ted Lasso stash, right?
Oh God, it is beautiful. I'm a big fan of it.
Oh yeah. He's got a nice lip sweater there.
Stash.
The Skinner stash, love it. But yeah, Connor is, like I said, like we said at the top of this show, he is in a whole other stratosphere of player.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I can't, honestly, it's going to be really wild to see how Connor Bedard stacks up against that. Right?
It's hard because I don't want to say he can be better because I could always age poorly, but like,
well, let's let's have this. Yeah, let's have this discussion really quick about like the greatest hockey players, right? And everybody that we've considered like who's next in line, right? Because obviously 99 is who he is.
99 will be number one forever.
99 will be number one forever. But everybody's always tried to talk about who's that next in line guy, right? For a while, it was Mario Lemieux.
For a while, it was Sid.
For a while, it was Eric Lindros.
Yeah.
Until yeah, so it was like you have the great one. Yeah, you have the great one. You have the magnificent one in '66. You have the next one in '88.
Which that was injuries, but
concussions.
Yep, it's a terrible part of the game.
Yeah,
ruined what was
especially at
that
point in the year.
Career. You know what I mean?
Especially at that point into the history. Yeah, because
and you remember Crosby almost had that happen to him too.
Crosby too. Yep. You've said the kid.
Fortunately, he's been healthy ever since the 2011 to 2013 issues, but
at least with the concussion side of things.
Yeah.
Which makes his game misconduct all that much funnier.
Yes, absolutely.
I said, like, that was his first one ever?
Yeah.
What?
We've seen some unbelievable players come into the league. Matthews, McKinnon, Draisaitl, Pastrnak,
Bergeron. Bergeron does his own thing.
Right.
Like, if we're talking offensive talents like this, yes.
The issue, though, is like they're all great players.
Yes.
But none of those players are top 10 players when it's all said and done.
Right.
Crosby will be.
Yes.
McDavid will be.
Yes.
Draisaitl's not going to be. He'll be somewhere outside of there.
15, 20, maybe.
I figured top 25 somewhere in that 25 to 11 range.
15, 20. I would put him there.
Yeah. But Dard, when it's all said and done, will probably be a top 15 player. Whether he's top 10 or not, we'll see. But will he be a top 15 player when he's done? Yeah, I think he will.
And obviously, we've, like it's fun to speculate, but like, dude, he's not even drafted yet. We got to find that out first.
Who knows? He could be a bust, but like, I just don't think he will be. Like,
yeah,
he's going to be as unbelievable as McDavid. Does he have a better career than McDavid? I don't know about that, but the potential's there.
I mean, that also depends on what you measure as better. Do you measure that by the point production, which we are right now,
or the goal production, or the cups? Like, there's factors that go into it, like the hardware. Like, so we'll have to see. Obviously, we can't predict it now because the guy has not even been fucking drafted. But
right, like, do you define the success as the number of points? Do you define the success as the number of cups? Like, it's all like, yeah.
Hockey is a sport similar to baseball. I think it's, and in some cases football, like the whole ring debate. It's a basketball debate.
Yeah.
Because basketball is the game where you have the most control as a star player.
As an individual player.
Probably 38 to 42 out of a possible 48 minutes in a game. You're getting the ball on literally every possession. You are dictating the game offensively for your team.
Yes.
And oftentimes you're also dictating things defensively. Like you look at Michael Jordan, who won several Defensive Player of the Year awards. You look at LeBron, who's had unbelievable defensive plays in his career. The block on Iguodala.
God, that block.
They've won champion. Like that's often the thing that comes up most is championships when you define athletes in basketball, because MJ was 6-0. Well, LeBron's been to this many finals. Well, Kobe was 5-2, and he had so many moments. But hockey, like, I don't like. It's always nice when a player wins a cup, but it doesn't define their legacy. If Alex Ovechkin sets the record for goals, which he's gonna do, but he didn't have that cup in 2018, I don't think it would really change his legacy. It makes his legacy even more awesome. It was awesome to see him win the cup, but nobody at the end of the day is going to be like, well, he's a fraud because he didn't win a cup. Like, no, like there's only so much he can do. He's only one of 20 guys on the ice.
Yes, exactly.
You know?
Hockey is the most team centric of these team sports. Because we talk about, we say it all the time. It's unpredictable as hell.
Yeah.
It's knife shoes and a frozen rubber thingamajig. Like, it's not even like a puck is like barely even a disc.
How do baseball fans view Ken Griffey Jr.?
I mean, I love him to death.
Hall of Famer, won an MVP, one of the coolest swings of all time. Everybody loves Ken Griffey Jr.
One of the best personalities ever in the sport. Like,
he never won a title.
Well,
nobody views his legacy differently because of it.
Right, exactly. Ichiro.
Fantastic example. So, like, I don't think, like, if Connor McDavid finishes out his career, him having 0 cups at the end of it, if that's what happens, is not going to change his legacy for me, because if you understand context and you understand the first decade of his career will have been with Peter Chiarelli and Ken Holland as his GM.
Yeah.
I think you can understand if he ends his career with 0 cups.
Yeah. I mean, it would be amazing to see him get one in Edmonton.
Oh, yes. I'm rooting for that.
Because I want to see it. I want to see it in Edmonton because it's like, that just brings legitimacy back to that franchise again, right?
Absolutely.
That just builds the legacy of the Edmonton Oilers.
No doubt about it.
And it's like, wow.
But as far as like defining greatness for players, I don't know if it's necessarily just you look at the stat sheet and go by points. It's just how you define impact.
Yes.
And from watching the players. It's going to be an interesting debate by the end of their careers, because people are going to ask, well, is it Crosby or is it McDavid? Like, in terms of this generation, like, which one was better? It probably will be McDavid, but like, I can't unsee the impact from Crosby winning both titles, even though it's not McDavid's fault that he doesn't have one right now. I don't know. It's an interesting debate, but
yeah. And I like that you, because this is going to get us into our last topic. I like that you talk about, impact, legacies, like these words, because we're going to get into the pop culture end of the show, because, like, we like talking about pop culture stuff here and there.
Hell yeah, we do.
This last week and change, I'm going to start with the top charting album from
what is it?
February 10th through the 12th. February 10th was a huge day for me in particular, and a lot of fans of 2 particular bands. Because the album that topped Spotify charts, new Paramore is here.
Oh, awesome. I like Paramore.
This Is Why is a huge, like, it's their first new album in 6 years. Haley and the 2 boys getting back together.
That's awesome. You can't not like Haley Williams.
I love her. She's adorable. She's so much fun.
So talented.
I don't know. Like, I've gotten really into The Warning too recently over the last little month. I've told you about The Warning.
Yeah.
Have I?
I think so.
They're this trio of sisters from Mexico, and they're like, they're badass. They're awesome.
Yeah.
And they're really young too. Like, they were touring with Muse, dude.
Oh, damn.
It's crazy. And like, they're so young and talented and fun. But like, This Is Why is amazing. I love it. The title track is great. Because the whole idea of this album is like chronicling the last 6 years of just madness that this world's gone through.
Yeah.
Like, This Is Why, the chorus is, "This is why I don't leave the house." I love it. It's great. And the news, like the 3 singles that they've dropped so far from it, The news is probably my favorite between the three of them.
Okay.
I don't know if you've gotten the chance to listen to any of it.
I have not, but I'm definitely
No, you would love it.
I love Paramore.
You would absolutely love it. The news is great. Because it's just like war and just like I'm sick of seeing this shit because I can't do anything sitting behind my computer and doing nothing all day.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, right? Like you want to be able to change things, but you can't. So you just turn off the news, and yet it still just like resonates there because it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Because the world sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And then C'est Comme Ça is great too. It's just a fun little bop. It's like I love C'est Comme Ça because it reminds me a lot of Hard Times and just how danceable it is.
Oh yeah. So also adding on to the pop culture end of this, 2 days ago, very important day. Did you see? The Weeknd turned 33.
Hey, happy birthday to your boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Quick shout out to him, I guess, right? And like everybody talking about Rihanna and the halftime show too.
Did you watch it?
I didn't watch the halftime show, no, but she killed it apparently.
Yeah, here's the thing, like obviously tough to perform while you're pregnant, but what I got from that halftime show, like I thought she was fine. It's not a super memorable performance in my mind because it didn't really have like nothing really stood out about it. But one thing did stand out to me. I'm not like a huge Rihanna fan. Like I don't dislike her, but I don't go
right. No, I love her, but like I'm not a fan.
Watching that halftime show, I was like, oh my God. I did not realize how unbelievable her catalog is. It was hit after hit after hit after hit. I was like, oh my God. I did not realize she had this many mega hits.
Well, it's just funny too, because like she's also like, you don't think she's been around for so long too, and yet you think it's
she's
like
been around
really?
longer than I thought. She's been like since 2006.
Exactly.
It's been a while.
So
time flies, man. It really does.
Exactly. And I'll tell you why time flies. One thing, well, Paramore, 6 years between albums, and they come back with this, and it's like, I love it to death. It's great because it's like it's got this nice, like, it's very much like After Laughter and everything.
So
where it's like mixing the dance stuff. And the big reason why I'm wearing this T-shirt is first of all, this album got me through this week, but this one song. Everybody knows I'm a huge Linkin Park guy.
Yeah, love Linkin Park.
And you know, like Chester was the first celebrity passing that really just killed me inside.
Yeah. Because we bonded early on. Our friendship was part of Linkin Park too. Talking about them like back in like 2014. You know?
Yeah.
Not just Blue Jacket stuff, but
back in the hunting party days. Yeah. But so like, yeah, Chester passing hit me so hard that I even, made that the basis around a published paper I wrote in college. And this year, 2023, is the 20th anniversary of their second album, Meteora.
Oh God, what a great album.
That's got, hits like Somewhere I Belong, Lying From You, Faint, Numb, obviously.
Yeah.
Underrated gems like Figure 9, From the Inside. Don't Stay is amazing.
Yeah.
Easier to Run's my favorite. So many underrated gems from that era. And a lot of unreleased stuff from that era that they're celebrating now. February 10th, which was the day before Mike Shinoda's birthday. Happy birthday, Mike.
Happy birthday.
Big guy turned 46. He was actually, so funny story really quick before I get to the like reveal of the song. I joined the Linkin Park Discord and Mike's over this past week. These things are gigantic.
Oh, I bet.
The Linkin Park Chord is over 30,000 members.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then Mike's is about half the size. It's just craziness. And a lot of it has to do with the Meteor 20 celebrations, right? Why they made the Discord and everything.
Right.
But the song that came out called Lost. It was something that fans had been speculating for all these years, the demos and like leaks and everything that have come out throughout the years about a song with lyrics like "Thoughts Take Away My Pride," which didn't make this cut of the song. There might be in the old 2002 demo or something. But Lost being released as a full track changed me this week.
Yeah.
It just got me through this week. Actually, like last night at work, it sent me into a whole nother stratosphere to the point where like I just looped it for my last couple of hours at work, and it made me like just hyper focus.
Right.
But they released this music video to go along with it, and it's got CG and AI art elements to it. It's like a little anime centric storyline, because like you've seen how they incorporate anime stuff into their art.
Right. Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's like a really cool element of some of the stuff they do.
Yeah. And I mean, like Mike being half Japanese, of course, like he'd take Akira was a previous stage name of his. He uses Kenji in his lyrics because that's his middle name and all that kind of stuff. Anime is a big part of that. Their whole identity, more or less. Like, look at the cover of Reanimation. Come on, it's a Gundam. But Lost, the music video, the AI elements of the band, and you see Chester again.
Yeah.
And they're wearing like their Live in Texas outfits. Oh, the first time I watched it, I bawled my eyes out.
Yeah.
Like I watched the premiere of it. Yeah, I watched the premiere of it when it dropped at midnight.
Yeah.
And it's just like this wash of, oh my God, this is a really special song. It's, like you should take a listen to it if you haven't already, Jay. Like, please, God. It's just brilliant. And then they've got 2 more coming out. Like as promos for Hybrid Theory, Meteor 20.
Nice.
Because Mike just went on Howard Stern recently to release these. They haven't released them like publicly yet, but Fighting Myself is coming, and I think it's called More the Victim is the other one. Those are the 3 big fuller promotional demo tracks that they're gonna pull out for Meteor 20. And they, Mike previewed the other 2 on Howard Stern. The one thing I'll say about the Howard Stern thing, Mike talked over some of it, but Howard never shuts up.
Yeah, that's Howard.
That's just how, like, this is the same guy. Like, I remember watching a Foo Fighters, old YouTube Foo Fighters thing with them playing, they were playing Monkey Wrench. They were playing Monkey Wrench, and Howard couldn't stop asking. He was like, is Monkey Wrench about Kurt Cobain? Like, no, Howard. No, it's not. It's not. But that's Howard Stern for you, right? That's just Howard. But yes, that's a big reason why. Like, this shirt has the logo. Cool. It's got all the, like, a bunch of song names on it.
That's awesome.
It's a crazy awesome shirt. I love it.
So, quick question for you. Trivia question. We'll end this off.
Yeah.
Since we were just talking about Rihanna.
Okay.
When did the song Umbrella come out?
Umbrella. Oh God. That one feels like 2008.
2007.
I was a year off.
You're a year
Okay.
off.
So...
Close. Good. But it's crazy to think, like, that's like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, like, wow. Like, it's been around forever.
Minutes to Midnight came out in 2007. It was
Yeah.
Lincoln's third album. Like,
yeah, it's crazy, like the passing of time, because you don't realize how long like it's actually been for certain things. Like the one that I always think about that's crazy is like it doesn't feel like it was that long ago that Wasting Light by the Foo Fighters came out.
Yeah,
that was over a decade ago.
That was 2011.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
I mean, for me with Minutes, right? For me, for me with Living Things, because Living Things was my big. That's my favorite album. That's my favorite Linkin album. That's been 11 years. That's been almost 11 years now since Living Things came out.
Beauty Behind the Madness by The Weeknd, where he came out with songs like The Hills, Can't Feel My Face.
Mm-hmm.
That was 8 years ago. What?
Like, it's like, yeah, because just the music is so timeless.
Yeah,
it's
the word. It's timeless, and like you don't like have a grasp of like how long it's been around.
You go back and listen to Meteora, people.
Yeah,
and you just like you get taken back to this place, right? And you still like you feel like you were when you first heard these songs. I remember when I first heard Numb for the first time. Yeah, I remember going to the one time I got to see them live, and when they opened with Faint, it was this party. It was amazing. And now with Lost, it just brings all of that back.
Yeah.
And
it's awesome that they're able to do that.
And it's just like, oh my God. And another quick thing about Lost, they were originally wanting to make Meteora 12 songs. Lost was the 13th song. It basically, like, if it would have made the album, it would have replaced Numb.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
More or less. So, like, yeah, that just goes to show you how much they care about their craft, how much detail they put into every little thing.
Yeah. You have to if you're an artist like that. Like, attention to detail is so critical.
And, like for Mike, Brad, Dave just had his birthday too. Yeah. Happy birthday, Dave, to Phoenix, to Joe, to Rob, my boy Rob, quiet little Rob, the drummer. He's the guy that, got me into drumming. All 5 of those guys, I'm just wishing the best for them all. And that Meteora 20 is, is going to be a huge celebration. The album anniversary is March 25th, and then the release is April 7th for the box set.
All right. Well, we'll have to keep an eye out and mention it in a future podcast then.
Go listen to Lost. Go listen to This Is Why. I'm plugging the music because I love it.
Go back and listen to our previous episodes.
Please go share us around. Go follow our Twitters. Go sign up for DraftKings. Go buy some Raycons.
Don't watch the video where I said Boston wasn't going to make the playoffs. It doesn't.
Go watch our Johnny sighting reaction.
Yeah.
Go watch our Cocaine Bear, because Cocaine Bear's coming out soon.
Oh, God, I can't wait.
Can't wait. We'll see you
Jay
later.
Jake Jackets, a podcast for fifth liners and all puckheads around. Follow the guys on Twitter at Snake Gehringer, GARRINGER, and at By Jay Ashdown. And subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen. March on.